My buddy asked this question. He was like, "Is your buddy the type of person that watches the whole race, or just the
whole race?
Whole race?" Or he was like, "Is he the type of person that watches the last 5 to 10 laps?"
As a kid, I would watch like the first 20 because like most races have like over 200 laps.
200 laps, right?
And then I would watch the first. As a kid, I would watch the first 20, and then I would watch the last 20.
Yeah.
But now I watch the whole race. It's entertaining.
And then how long do races usually last?
3 to 5 hours.
3 to 5
and
hours.
And imagine driving in a vehicle for 3 to 5 hours and like the vehicle inside 120 degrees, yes. 130 degrees. You got to get conditioned for that.
Yes.
And you're sweating. They lose up to 10 pounds of sweat.
Yes. I was going to ask, like, because you would probably know how dangerous is this sport. Like, personally, on a driver's perspective, and then obviously the car perspective.
Yeah. The last death the sport has had was like 20 years ago.
Really? 20 years ago?
2001.
Oh.
So, and before that, there was like 4 deaths in 2 years.
Yeah. Okay.
And then the last driver that died was this very famous driver. I don't know if you've heard of him, Dale Earnhardt Sr. I think he's lost in this generation now.
He probably is, yeah.
But like, he died. He was the most popular. He had the most championships.
Wow.
So he died. Like, okay, and that was like, okay.
So
we got to make it safer. We got to make it way safer. And it's already this safety revolution.
Yeah.
Where they try to make everything safer, and we haven't had a death in 20 years.
Wow. So what do they do safety-wise to ensure less deaths?
So the walls. Oh,
it's like
the walls aren't really walls. It's a wall where like it's movable.
Oh yeah.
Where like it absorbs some of the impact, and then the cars, they don't just like squish. I don't know how to explain it.
Like it's like those walls on like the highways where it's like they're slinky. They're almost like slinky like because they're going to absorb all of the impact. Yeah. Like there's going to be an impact, but there's less of an impact. Yeah. And then when you get that, you don't have force going into a wall.
Yeah, like very directly, a blunt stop.
Yeah, making it squish, as you were trying to say. But when it's resisting, it'll probably bounce off.
Oh, yeah.
So that means less impact, less compression, and less, all-around damage for the driver and the car.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then the cars are safer. They absorb more of the impact rather than the driver. The driver can't move their head.
Yeah.
Like, very limited mobility. So when they crash, their whole body moves.
Yes.
Not just like their head, which causes the last death. Most deaths happen like that because of the head.
Because the head, yeah. Even though they
whiplash,
have
pretty much whiplash.
Whiplash. Even though they have the helmet and they have the equipment on, it's still at that. Yeah. Science and physics prove that at that speed, at that rate, it's inevitable for a human body not to be able to survive that. Yeah. Like 70 miles is actually the limit for someone to actually die in an accident. They say at least 70 miles in any car crash, death is inevitable. Yeah. So, man, what were you gonna say?
Oh, just safer. We rarely even have injuries. It's not as dangerous as it once was. It's I think it's the safest motorsport. Safer than Formula 1, safer than any car. Because you're inside a car, you're not exposed.
Yeah, you're not exposed at all. And then, being a race fan, being all that, how do you feel about people who just kind of talk it down? Like
it's just circles.
Oh, it's just circles. All we do is turn left. I actually saw... do you know the network TLC? Like, where all these Wildin' shows, like one of the Wildin' shows that I came across was a show called Sex Sent Me to the Emergency Room. Okay. And this scenario was this big dude with his little girl, like petite girl, big dude, and what do you call it? They reenact like a scenario that they were at a house party or whatever, and literally, the guy literally says they're watching NASCAR. They actually have a NASCAR race on the TV in the show. And he's like, well, why is this even a sport anyway? All they do is just drive and turn left. I was like, okay, why is the network, y'all scripted this? Y'all had to reenact it somehow. Why are y'all calling out a sport?
We're pretty much a punching bag. Like stereotypes that happen, like, we used to be almost all circles. There used to be only like there's 36 races a year. Yes. There only used to be 2 races where it's like there's right turns. And now we have 7 races a year where we have to go right. Where you have
to go right. Yeah. Wow. And then are these races, are they just within a track, or are they in like a different kind of track where there's actual turns and different things?
What do you mean?
Like I want to say cars because that's the only way people are going to relate because cars, like, you know how it's not just a circle track or an oval track. Are there actual other tracks within NASCAR or no?
There's... What do you mean by that?
Like something that's unorthodox, an unorthodox track. Like anything like dirt racing, anything like that.
Oh, yeah, we had one dirt race this year. Our first ever dirt race in 50 years.
50 years, wow. Yeah. And when did that occur?
Like, I wouldn't know, April, May. Like, almost 3 months ago. It's because my driver almost won the race. Oh. And it was almost his first career win.
And that's, wow, 50 years in the making. Another unorthodox race happens.
Yeah.
Wow. But most of the time it's just the same track.
Yeah, pavement. It's pavement.
All the precautions are taken.
They travel across the country. It's not like they Texas, Florida, New York, North Carolina, California, and Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Austin now.
Yeah. And I, like you said, I think there's a bit of a generation gap when it comes to races.
Oh yeah. I think we have the oldest audience, and then right now we're trying to advertise to the younger people.
Yeah, try to liven it back up again, get a younger audience in.
And it's working. It's working.
I mean, you're in it. You're into it, and I kind of want to get into it too. So like, they can count fans into it because it's interesting.
Like 60,000 plus people in Austin, not a dying sport.
Not a dying sport, especially after a pandemic.
Mm-hmm. Especially after a pandemic, and I didn't see any masks in Austin. Not a thing. And then like we're having an all-star race this weekend.
This weekend, yes.
It's $1 million race.
And where is this taking place?
Right here in Fort Worth.
Oh, Fort Worth. In Texas Motor Speedway?
Yes, sir.
Oh man, $1 million race, Texas Motor Speedway. Because I know UFC 263 is this Saturday, but you won't be watching because you got that going on, right?
Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool. And then who are you rooting for in this race?
My driver, as always. He's the only Mexican-born driver.
Really?
Because there's usually 40 cars in a field. 38 of the drivers are white. There's one black driver and there's one Mexican driver.
Wow.
And I root for the one Mexican driver.
That's what's up, though.
Yeah. He's had pretty much success.